Hello, and welcome to the Renaissance English History Podcast's Tudor Minute, your mostly daily dose of all things related to medieval and Renaissance England. So today I'm going to talk about Mary Tudor. Mary Tudor is commonly remembered through the alcoholic drink that we have called the Bloody Mary, and also many people confuse her with Mary Queen of Scots. There were two prominent Marys in the mid-16th century, and those are the two, Mary Tudor and Mary Queen of Scots. So Mary Tudor was actually the daughter of Henry VIII by Catherine of Aragon. Catherine, of course, was a staunch Catholic, and she raised Mary to be Catholic. And when Mary inherited the throne after her younger brother Edward died, Edward was the son of Jane Seymour, Henry's third wife. So Mary inherits the throne, and she was an older woman by this time in her late 30s, and she really wanted to bring England back into the fold, into the Catholic fold. And she wanted to do this through benign ways, through education. So all of the monasteries that had been dissolved under Henry VIII, she didn't give them back. She kept the money that had been gathered when they were sold to the nobility, all of the land. She kept all of that money and she used it to build seminaries. So she actually wanted to educate people back into Catholicism. But it started to go afoul when she restored the Mass, because with the restoration of the Mass, you had a way to police it if people were actually going to Mass and if they were praying adequately. And if they weren't, they were tried in church courts. The problem was the punishment for heresy was death, and the church, by law, couldn't actually sentence somebody to death. If somebody was sentenced to death, they had to go back into the secular court. So Mary wound up having to put all these people to death, not necessarily because she had found them guilty, but because of the way the law was structured. Also, the punishment for heresy was to be burned, and it was like this for everybody. It was a taste of the fires of hell, and it was also to completely dissolve the body, so that when Christ came back for the resurrection and for to have what's it called, the rapture, when Jesus came back, the body was completely dissolved for all the heretics, and there would be nothing to be able to respond to Jesus. And so the punishment, it was all very, very neatly laid out, and it was all the way the law was structured. So Mary went ahead and burned all these people, and it would have been, not necessarily as much of a big deal, except John Knox was a Protestant who was in Geneva at the time, and he wrote his famous Book of Martyrs, where he outlined the lives and deaths of all of the Protestants who were killed with these amazing engravings that showed the burnings and just really moving things, showed pregnant women and the babies being burned. It was just really gruesome. And so out of that came the legend of Bloody Mary. And it's really sad because Mary only reigned for 5 years, so she never really had a chance to redeem herself. So as much as Mary, yes, should be blamed for the way she punished the Protestants, she was really doing what was appropriate by the law at the time. So to learn more about Mary Tudor, there's actually a podcast I did on her, and you can learn more at www.englandcast.com. That's www.englandcast.com. You can subscribe to the Renaissance English History Podcast on iTunes or Stitcher, or go to facebook.com/englandcast. Thank you.